Let me first of all thank all of you for all of the work that you're doing. They're telling me that you consistently lead the state in phone calls. You know, I think it's in the nation too. And I think it's pretty clear cut. For a Republican to carry Florida, they have to come out of Duval County with a big margin. That's straightforward. And I think you have an opportunity this year. The issue, I'm going to talk briefly about the issues, but you have an opportunity to help make history twice. Once by making sure that Governor Romney gets a big margin up here, and the second is by making sure that Connie Mack wins the Senate. I am not surprised at yesterday's Rasmussen poll that shows Connie Mack 9 points ahead of Bill Nelson, because I think it's beginning to sink into folks that Bill Nelson is an Obama Democrat. That he voted to take $500 billion out of Medicare. That he supported Obamacare. And that the years he spent coming back home saying, I'm not one of them, doesn't work anymore, because he is them. So I think if we're going to govern, we have to win the White House and we have to win the Senate.
Yeah.
Florida plays a major role in both. Yes. No Republican is going to win the presidency without carrying Florida.
That's right.
That's straightforward. So Florida is really important. Now I think you've got issues on your side. First of all, we have the worst economy since the Great Depression. And you know, at this point in 1984, Ronald Reagan wasn't whining about Jimmy Carter.
Thank you.
We had the Reagan recovery. We were creating jobs. Yes, sir. They ran for re-election. Their slogan was leadership that's working. Now you can't imagine Obama running around with leadership that's working. In fact, Obama's gone from yes we can to why we couldn't. And it's kind of pathetic. So I think Governor Romney, first of all, does have a plan for the economy. I hear a lot of people say, well, you know, what is Governor Romney's plan? First of all, he issued a 59-page paper that outlines it. He's done a whole series of something which I frankly think he got from our campaign, and I'm like, I'm an old teacher. If I can get you to imitate, I'm pretty happy. But he has a day one plan that I like. And he talks about very specific things in day one that he will do on the first day. And so I think it's going to become clearer and clearer. You have an Obama who has excuses but no plan and no success. And you have a Romney who actually has thought a lot about what we have to do to get America growing again and to get us back creating jobs. And that's how big the difference is. Second, from the standpoint of Jacksonville, Obama is the most anti-military president in modern times. We need to make sure that every veteran's family, every military family, every pro-defense conservative understands this is real clear. I mean, the gap between Romney and Obama couldn't be wider.
That's right.
And that's why this is, I believe, the most important election since 1860. I think 4 more years of Obama will wreck this country. We have a 2-year window to repeal Obamacare. Romney has campaigned on it. The House just voted for it. This is another reason why we have to beat Bill Nelson.
Right.
Because we've got to get it through the Senate. So this is vital for what we're doing. And I think that there's a big lesson to learn from how the Obama administration has handled the Supreme Court decision. And I have a paper that comes out next week. If you want to get a copy of it, if you go to gingrichproductions.com, which is our website, I've written about a 9,000 or 10,000 word essay. And I walk through Obama campaigning in 2008 pledging not to raise taxes. Then Obamacare raising taxes. Then Obama saying it didn't raise taxes. A very famous scene where he goes on Stephanopoulos, and for about 8 minutes he keeps saying it's not a tax increase, it's not a tax increase. Then when they went to the Supreme Court, the Obama lawyers spent 13 pages explaining it was constitutional because it was a tax. When the Chief Justice agreed with them and said, okay, it's constitutional as a tax, it's not constitutional as a penalty, but since it is a tax, that makes it constitutional. Literally within 12 hours, the White House was saying, but it's not a tax. It is the most, and not just the White House, their campaign, Democrats in the Congress, it is the most systematically dishonest campaign. Frankly, it is worthy of Pravda in the Soviet period. It's worthy of George Orwell's 1984. So what I did, because I was fascinated, but I was stunned. And I was watching this, and everybody was all involved about how they feel about Justice Roberts, but I kept thinking, this is really weird. I mean, the big story was, here's a White House systematically telling people something they know is false.
Just like the cost of it. It's called propaganda.
Just like the cost of it, just like so many other things. And of course, the Romney campaign has released an ad today pointing out that the entire attack on outsourcing is false. And I want to be very clear, ma'am. As all of you know, I use very direct language. But somebody needs to say this.
Say it like it is.
Okay. Obama lied. That I'm going to release on Monday, actually be available I think on Wednesday of next week, is entitled "No Taxation with Misrepresentation." and here's the point. You can't talk about having taxation with representation if the person lies, because then you don't know what you're voting for. And it's not, as you'll see in my paper if you get a chance to read it, it's not that Obama occasionally fibs. I mean, let's be clear. Every politician has moments. Bill Clinton had a few more than most. Ronald Reagan said, "There you go again," about Jimmy Carter. I mean, it's not, we're not seeking perfection. But this is grotesque. And let me tell you why you're going to, my prediction is you're faced with 90 days of unending dishonesty. And the reason's simple. They can't win if they tell the truth.
That's right.
Obama had run in 2008 and said, "Hi, I would like to dramatically increase taxes, spend billions and billions of dollars of your money, run up a $2 trillion annual deficit, centralize power in Washington, pay off all the unions, and take care of my friends who are cronies, throw away hundreds of millions of dollars on things like Solyndra, and by the way, create a national health program run from Washington that's going to cost trillions of dollars and raise your taxes." It's a simple answer.
No.
Right? I mean, he would have gotten 20% of the vote. And so instead, what he's brilliant at is looking in the camera and saying, "Since I'm a nice person, why don't you assume that I'm whoever you want me to be?" Carter had this ability. Carter was a Rorschach test. I mean, people would look at Jimmy Carter. When Carter ran in '76, people would look at Carter. And if you were a liberal, you knew he was a liberal. If you were a conservative, you knew he was a conservative. If you were a farmer, you knew that he was a farmer. If you were a nuclear engineer, you knew he was a nuclear engineer. And Carter's genius was he was all those things. And of course, once you get to be president, you have to narrow down. Well, the Obama challenge is, and this is something all of you have to be prepared for. And it's why I'm writing this paper, because I think this paper is so definitive that no reasonable person can read it and not come to understand that this is the operating method of the Obama team.
Yeah.
And that's important because it's very important to realize from the Democratic convention on, we are going to drown in liberal mud.
Right.
They're going to throw the kitchen sink.
Right.
And they have to throw the kitchen sink. Because if this is an honest election about the facts, they're going to get crushed. And so they don't, they legitimately want to survive. I think it's illegitimate for a president of the United States to be this dishonest. And candidly, I think when somebody looks you in the eye and says, that is not a tax. Now you can say, all right, after Chief, and this is something Romney said, after Chief Justice Roberts and the 4 liberals, by the way, remember, not the conservatives, the 4 liberals all voted that it was a tax.
Yeah.
You can say, so what's amazing to me, and the thing that got me writing this paper is, if you read what Obama's own lawyers said, the people who report to him went into the court and said, it's a tax, it's a tax, it's a tax.
Right.
Now, for the president to now turn around and say, no, it's not, how do you govern as a free people? How do you have an honest conversation? And I think that's what's at stake here. That's why I believe this is honestly the most important election since 1860. I believe it is vital that you reach out to every person in every neighborhood. And I'm going to leave you this, but it's a very simple test, and I'm going to stay around and we can get pictures and chat for a few minutes because I want to thank each of you for being a volunteer. I think what you're doing is so important. And all of you know this in your own lives. I mean, you can get paid robocalls forever. But when a person cares enough to be active as a volunteer, they send a signal to a lot of other people that this is a cause that matters. So what you're doing here is a really big deal and really matters a lot. And I think for this young person here, or my 2 grandchildren who I'm on the way to see up at Sea Island in about 2 hours, this young person right here, for them, their future, this young man over here, their future, that young man right back there, their future is going to be, and why don't all of you come up here? Come on, guys. All the young people come up here. Come on up here. He may be a little trickier, although
He's trying to come through.
Sorry. Coming through, Michael.
come on. Here you go. Now, did I miss somebody else's job?
Go, Jasmine.
Jasmine. I don't think so. Jasmine's not going to be okay. We can have Jasmine. Oh, there you go. Here's what I want to close with. This is what I want all of you to remember. This is what this is about. It's not about the consultants. It's not about the money. It's not about the super PAC. It's about what kind of America are these young people going to grow up in. And your work on both the presidency and the Senate will decisively change the nature of the country they're going to grow up in. And that's why I came down here. I wanted to spend some time with you. I am very grateful to all of you. I hope I have a chance to shake each and every hand personally. And thank you for what you're doing. And these folks, just remember, when you start to get tired, you start to get discouraged, you start to get angry, you're doing it for these kids and all the other kids across this country. We're going to have a much better future if you win. Thank you all very much.
Mr. Speaker. Talk to the kids.